Hello, everybody. This is Football Psych, and I'm Coach Mad Mike.
It is a large Sarge.
And tonight we are without our good old Shaq buddy because we have unfortunate news. He was involved in a car accident with his girlfriend, Kara, who was a guest on our show last week. But give us an update. What happened with them, Lord Sarge, and how are they?
The latest update I got is everyone's okay. Kara's at home, got out of the hospital. She's got a stiff back, probably some whiplash. You know, she's a Marine. Kara's a Marine, if y'all didn't know that. All prior service people on this show, you know. So she's going to be tough, and she's going to hang in there, and she's going to be fine.
That's good to know. It's good to know that they made it okay, but because of that, good old Shaq will not be with us tonight. So we hope that he and Kara both get well, recover from that accident, and they'll be on next week. And so look forward to that. We do have several fans that we're looking at trying to bring on to the show in the near future. So I'm coordinating that. So we want to be able to bring you more people to get more perspectives as we head towards the new season for the Washington Commanders, and obviously our preparation as we get closer and closer to training camp. Now, with that being said, there's been a lot of news up in Washington, and there's been a lot of discussions about Debo. Tell us about it, Large Sarge.
Well, the radio up here is a buzz with OTAs, right? And how they're using Debo, and from the perspective from the coaches is that the OTAs are going great, and they're finding holes for him. They're finding places to utilize him, both pass run, short pass over the center, different places to put him into the offense to get the best utilization out of him. The buzz is exciting, I have to say.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Like, I would tell you, one of the really phenomenal things about how he was utilized in San Francisco was they put him all over the place. They've had him doing all kinds of stuff. He was rushing the ball. He was lined up in the slot out wide. He was like all over the field. And the idea was get him in open space, get him the ball, and let him do what he does. And he can be very dynamic if used right. If you try to like stovepipe him into a particular role, he's less productive. You really got to get him just like integrated in a lot of different ways. And if anybody who knows how to do it, who's seen that firsthand before, it's Adam Peters. And to be able to work with this coaching staff to say, hey, listen, look at his old tape, look how he's doing, and see if we can add that to our playbook.
Yeah, I think this is a very planned. Planned's the wrong word. I think they strategically picked this guy up to do that, to help this air raid offense. I really think they are planning an all-out offensive attack this year. And I got some news on the defense, but I think the game plan in the head was, let's put 3 to 4 more points on the board every game, average over 30, and get down to it and kill some of these teams. And even though we have holes in our D, we have a plan. Dan Quinn has a plan, and I'm going to tell you about it. But.
Okay, well, that's good. We'll just on that subject of OTAs. OTAs will resume again tomorrow for 2 days. It'll be the 3rd through the 4th, and then also they'll finish up on the 6th, and then OTAs will be over, and then they'll be heading towards a mandatory minicamp. Mandatory means everybody's got to be there the 10th through the 12th. So 3 days of a minicamp. Right now, for all you fans, the actual training camp dates have not been set, but it will be in Ashburn, Virginia. So as I get those, and as we do on the show, we will put those out to the group.
I got to get there. You going to be up in town for that?
I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what the dates are. You know, I got so much going on. So, like, if I'm in town, I would like to try to be there. They will have, like they have in the past, they'll have closed sessions, but they'll also
I got to get there and get some video. Listen, Shaq is saying, they're saying the UDFA from Louisville is going to be our true number 2, and they're saying he's Scary Terry's replacement.
Well, that'll be interesting. I mean, it tells me, like, you're going to need to, like, develop him this year and next year. We'll see what they're capable of doing. I will tell you right now, all indications are our true number 1 for this year is Scary Terry. Our true number 2 is Deebo Samuel. And I'm a little unsure right now about who's going to emerge in the slot, but we will see. There's obviously about 3 different receivers that could probably fill that role pretty well. I think they're going to battle it out for who's going to be that slot receiver. But don't be surprised that Deebo moves to the slot on certain play packages, that he moves in the X and then back to the Z. I mean, it's real. It'll be very interesting to see. Like, I really think that they'll shuffle these guys around a little bit. But I know Shaq doesn't want to believe Deebo's a number 2, but I'm going to disagree with you. He is our number 2. Yeah, all indications he's our number 2, and it doesn't mean that equates to reps all the time. Because one thing I've kind of noticed about Kingsbury's offense is they'll have you line up a certain way on a depth chart, but then he'll move you around, and then he has a tendency to go with hot hands.
It's the threat. It's the threat, right?
Yeah, and you also kind of want to throw it out
on the field. You're not really sure as a D who you have to cover. You're not sure what they're going to throw at you, right?
And you look for certain matchups, right? So, and you want to create mismatches.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we'll see what happens. I mean, we're way too early to really know how it's going to shape out. We all have our opinions now, but until we start getting some real feedback from training camp, until preseason starts, until the season starts, and sometimes, as you all know, those answers change throughout the season. Like, who was our number 2 receiver last year? I think it changed like 6 times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure, right?
So, yeah. We I don't think we had a consistent number 2, or we could probably even say we never really had a number 2, however way you want to define it last year. But I think one will emerge this year.
We're going to have to have it. We're going to have to have it. We're going to have it. We're just going to have to rely on and I'll get into the D on what I've heard and my opinions on it in a little bit, but
yeah. So I think right now
this offense to be a devastating passing offense. We have all the pieces to be a killer passing offense this year. Yeah. Not a running offense, a passing offense.
Well, we'll see, right? Like, because I do believe that they're going to try to get the run game established. We'll talk about that here in the show. And I do believe like Deebo is the number 2 until somebody else emerges.
Yeah.
I can go as far as to say that right now. One of the things I have on here is very interesting that's been reported by Pro Football Focus, that they believe that the true X factor, and I know Shaq's going to love this one, but they believe that the true X factor on this team is Marshon Lattimore. They believe like, hey, he came over from New Orleans. He was considered at the time, arguably, one of the best corners in the league. But when we traded for him, he was injured. He never really got integrated. He still struggled. I know Shaq wants to call him overpaid St. Juice like he always does.
Shaq!
And it's funny as anything. But
oh my God, dude! You're crazy.
But the theory behind this is if you have him healthy, if you give him a full off season to work and integrate with this defense, and you have him really get ready to go, and he's able to play 17 games a full regular season, that he can be the Pro Bowler type of corner like they believe there's going to be, and they want to give him every opportunity to do that. And I know Shaq says he's trash.
well, listen, you know what? So, yeah, we picked him up, and we picked him over the hammy, and he showed us that he had a hammy, right? I mean, everyone can say that, yeah, he didn't come to us at his peak. So he's had an off season and he'll have a training camp, and he should be back to top performance level, which means we should have something.
We should.
Right? We should have something.
And I will tell you, I'm somewhat intrigued by this secondary on the of the corners in particular, because with a healthy Marshon Lattimore, and I want to give, I know Shaq wants to give up on him already, right? But like, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt of having a good offseason and being healthy. And it's intriguing to see him Sinistrel, our new guy Trey Amos, what these guys are going to look like on the field, because it could be the most improved secondary that we've seen on this team in a long, long time.
It could be. I totally agree with you. The potential is there. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see when they start playing, right? We're going to have to see. Has Lattimore, how old is he now? How old's Lattimore?
He's still very young.
She's under 30, right? He's under 30.
Yeah.
So, the man should be healthy. He should have been training. They should have been working him. The potential is totally there, right?
Yeah.
But the actual game, he's 28, Shaq is saying. So thanks, Shaq, for participating. Yeah. So he's 28. So he's still in his prime. So if he took care of himself in this offseason and the Commanders health unit and their physical coaches got him in shape and got that hammy back working the way it's supposed to, and he feels personally, internally confident that he can do what he wants to do, he could be really dangerous.
So I've listened to some of his speaking, right? Like they've interviewed him a few times and they're getting into it. And I think he has a desire to prove that he still got it, right? Like he was just injured last year, and the trade and then the adjustment, there was a lot going on last year. And he came when there was 5 games left of the season. Yeah. So or actually when he got healthy. I mean, he was traded before week 8, but he wasn't healthy until there was 5 games left in the season. So he never really had a time to gel. His idea of his motivation seems to be there. Like he really wants to prove that he belongs on this team. He's excited about this year. And to me, at least that's optimistic enough to give the guy a shot, right?
Exactly.
So whether he's the X factor or not is going to be yet to be seen. It's going to be interesting to me.
So I had some sunlight going on there. I had the sun setting over here in my studio. It was like clouding in my light off my back screen. Now it looks pristine.
So there's a couple of things about our roster. Our roster by Pro Football Focus was named number 11th in the NFL. And some of the contributing factors that led to that was that Jaden Daniels had a really good year. He's young. He's going to have a second year of understanding the system. The coaching staff stayed in place. We made it to the NFC Championship game. But one of the things that kind of held them back from being a top 5 or a top 10 team is probably what Shaq would agree with, is that we have an aging roster. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, Large Sarge?
Yeah. Everyone in our division got younger, and I agree. Listen, Shaq is so on point. Everyone got younger, and we got older. Listen, as an old man, I'm not saying that's a bad thing because that old has talent and knowledge, right? But when you get older, you get injury prone. When you get older, things happen. Younger, it's always about the youth, right? So I get it, but I think we put together a unit that can do something in this year. In this year, I think the unit is built offensively.
Yeah, you're right. For one, we had very little draft capital, right? So for me, we signed a lot of guys to 1-year deals, kind of like we did last year when we overhauled the roster. And we saw how successful that was last year. So we had to still take aging players like Ertz and Wagner are back for another year. But these are probably their last years. I'm let's be realistic. They're not going to continue much longer. But one of the things that's hard for this team, I think, to get young is we only had 5 draft picks last year, and then we traded away draft capital. We're only going to have 5 draft picks next year. So, it's really hard to say, I want to build a competitive team every year. And it seems like Adam Peters' strategy is get the youth that you can, but because he had to completely overhaul this roster, so much has to be, come by what you can get. Right, you got to build a team with what you can get. So talent evaluation is really important. Really knowing whether or not there's any more juice to squeeze is really important. And they've got to be able to put it together. And hopefully they can be just as successful this year doing that as they were last year.
Hey, shout out to Matthew Greca. He's on. Yeah, the Commanders got old, Matthew. They got old. Everyone else got younger. So that's a Commanders. For this year, I think it's okay. My personal opinion, I think we just gave up so much draft capital for Tunzel, and I agree with Shaq. We gave up so much potential for us to get a little bit younger and stay in that game. But I think they went, you know what? Let's get the best team on the field that we can with the best players we can who can still play this year and see how it goes.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. So ranked 11th though to me still sounds like playoff type of team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I will tell you, buyer beware kind of thing, like because we saw this model happen. Like the Houston Texans seem to be 1 year ahead of us, right? When they got CJ Cloud the year before we got Jaden last year, right?
Right.
And they made it far into the playoffs. Their sophomore year under CJ Cloud, like they barely made the playoffs and they fizzled out real quick.
Yeah, sophomore
blues. And it's because it wasn't just the sophomore, type of situation that they come in, right? Like the sophomore slump, but it was also the fact that the Houston Texans, their second year, they had an aging roster. Like we were almost on the exact footprint of that. But to me, I still think we're a playoff team. I hope that the gelling works and comes together, that we can not only make it to the playoffs, but we can have another run at this. Because with the age of our team and not having a lot of draft picks, you just wonder, how long this thing is going to roll for us to be able to stay somewhat on top, or will it be short-lived?
I think they built a team for this year. They're like, we made something, and now let's make it better for this year. And they're kind of like, let's throw everything on the wall. Let's throw all the mud on the wall offensively. And I like I said, I got some comments defensively, but let's throw everything on the wall offensively to try to get this team over that hump so we can outscore everyone.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into defense a little bit because I do want to hear your comments. Like for me, I find it quite interesting. Like we do so much on offense. When you have a head coach that's a defensive coach, right? He even brought his assistant defensive coordinator over from Dallas, who is now our defensive coordinator in Witt. But yet defense wasn't their focus when we know defense wins championships. Like, I don't understand the thought process. But you have news. Tell us.
So the news is the inside scoop on the head shed and the Commanders is they're planning to use their beefed up defensive interior and good coaching to compensate for the complete lack of an edge.
Oh my goodness. What's
by stunting and technique on the inside.
Have we ever seen that work in the NFL?
Yeah.
Who?
The Lions did it. Yeah, he did it last year. Even though we had Fowler, I mean, they did a lot of it, right? But the plan is to continue that. Take last year's defensive snapshot on the defensive line, and they're going to improve on it. And they think they have the players that can do that, and they can call the defensive plays to stunt, juke, get around, to put pressure in, and not have to worry about the edge so much.
Not sure I buy that.
Me neither.
I'm not sure.
Me neither.
I would rather us at least have one dominant edge rusher, but we have zero. Right. And
we take one Fowler to work to a division rival.
And I'm not convinced any of these edge rushers are going to make plays enough to put enough pressure on a quarterback, right? So,
like you're saying, the Chiefs did it with Chris Jones, and yes, they did. But we don't have a Chris Jones, Shaq. We don't have one.
We got.
But listen, Quinn is a defensive mastermind, and he feels confident in what they did, that they can, with the pieces they put in place on the interior, that they can, through juju magic and stunting and playing, they think they can get penetration not from the edge, but from the center. Okay, I think that's easy to plan against. I think that's going to be.
I think that might be our Achilles heel.
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll see, right? I will tell you. I think I mentioned this several times on the show. I think we missed a huge opportunity. The strongest edge rush draft class probably in NFL history was this year, and we didn't pick up one. There was also several marquee defensive ends that were in free agency, and we didn't go after any of them either. So, really, you really think what you have was better than what all those opportunities were? You wouldn't even bring one of them in to help complement what you have? Like, really?
Yeah, exactly. And you have the money.
And we have the money. We're sitting right now on $21 million of available
cash. On edge, who's still out there that you think?
God, it's like so late in the ball game now.
I know, but who's out there?
So many guys. I don't even know if there's anybody out there now. Like they missed the boat in the draft. They missed the boat in free agency. Like you can't keep going like all the way to the preseason and go, well, hey, who's still out there? Like anybody who's been signed to a freaking contract at this point. Like there might be somebody with some lingering issues out there. I know that we could probably Google the free agency and and there might be a marquee name, but believe me, if he's not signed by now, there's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's something behind it, right?
Because everybody's 90-man roster is filled. So, like, you mean to tell me you didn't make a 90-man roster cut on 32 NFL teams?
Mm-hmm.
And you're still out there? There's a reason for that.
Right. There has to be, right? There's something.
Yeah.
But again, listen, we did not predict last year's season. We predicted many less games. And somehow, without, somehow they made it work. But now, in the end, we did not have a defense that could stop Saquon, right? We just didn't. And the analysis is, well, what did we do this year in the offseason to improve that? And the answer is we got worse.
Yeah. So I mean, we didn't really address defense. I think Trey Amos at corner is going to be something worth looking at, right? But overall, we didn't do anything.
We built a secondary, but we didn't build a D line, right?
Yeah, no.
We need an edge. There's at least one guy.
Yeah, you talked about having Fowler walk. Of course, he wanted to go back to Dallas, but we also let Jonathan Allen go. So, there's a lot of things there where it's just like you can't look at this defense and say necessarily we're better.
No, I say we're worse.
And we didn't do. And we certainly didn't address our shortcomings for the Philadelphia Eagles, which would lead me to believe that the Eagles are still number one in our division.
I don't think anyone will argue that at all.
All right, so let's talk about Trey Amos. All right, so Trey Amos, many are touting this as a extremely good pickup for the Washington Commanders, right? Because he had a first-round grade, and he slipped to us, number 61st overall in the draft last month. And so we got him with a very, very late second-round pick, and he fell in our lap. And to me, it was a steal. It kind of reminds me of being able to get like Johnny Newton last year.
I mean, this
is a great guy who fell to the second round that we were able to get.
It's a great pick.
I think it's a great pick too, and he is shining. Of course, you got to take that with a grain of salt because it's OTAs. There's no contact going on.
Right.
But he's saying he's in incredible shape and he's looking sharp as anything. But he's also the only rookie has yet to sign his rookie contract on the Washington Commanders team. Every other rookie signed.
Is that crazy? Why haven't the other rookies signed? What's going on? Coach, talk to me.
I think when every other player, like they knew their value where they went in the draft, I think because he felt like he was a first round grade and he slipped, he still wants first round grade money. But he's not going to get it.
Right. But I mean, he's the only one that signed. What's going on? What's happening in the coach's shop?
No, he's the only one that has not signed.
Oh, Trey hasn't signed. Wait a minute. I thought you said he was the only one that signed.
He's the only one that has not signed. Every other rookie has already signed. He's the only person on our roster that is not under contract.
Interesting.
So we got to get the deals done with him.
Yeah, interesting.
We really do. And I think he's squabbling about guaranteed money, and he probably thinks he should be paid more because he was graded out first round. But reality is, you went 61st overall in the draft. Those charts are pretty accurate. Teams don't deviate from those charts very much, so there's not going to be a whole lot of wiggle room that he's going to be able to have.
Yeah.
And when it comes to training camp, you have to have a signed contract to participate. So don't be a holdout, dude. Get your contract signed, get your butt to camp. That's
an agent and him working together saying, the whole league has changed with this guaranteed money thing, right? The whole league over the last couple of years, it's now moved from a big money, with performance to, oh no, it's all about the guaranteed money. It's all about guaranteed money. Like every deal negotiated is all about what are you going to guarantee me? Which I can understand because of the massive number of injuries, right? And players, look at Frank Ragnow and the Lions, retiring because he's just broke. He's like, I'm done. All these players look at all these other guys in there. They're doing what they're doing, and they want guaranteed money now. And that's where the league is going. That's how the deals are going. They folded. It's not about performance anymore.
Well, I mean, I understand agents.
Look at Kirk Cousins.
Clients. I understand why agents are trying to negotiate for their clients. I mean, this is where things have to get policed up within collective bargaining agreements because now everybody wants their full contract guaranteed.
Right.
They don't ever want to be cut unless they get all their money. And actually, then players almost want to be cut because not only is all their money guaranteed, but then they'll go sign a new contract with another team. So I think it's instructive for the league to go in that direction. Yes. So right now, let's talk about Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson is on fire from what I hear. His off-season regimen has been intense. He said, the team said, they were 7-1 in the regular season and postseason when he got 15 carries. 15 carries is nothing for a running back.
Exactly.
So if Cliff Kingsbury says, hey, he's healthy, I'm going to give him 15-plus carries, they're 7-1 when they've done that. They were 3-0 in that when he rushed for 100 yards. So, that's not a lot for a running back. So, if they make a little bit more emphasis to get him involved, and he was injured last year, if he can stay healthy, and he's as aggressive that he is right now, he knows how important this year is. Kingsbury knows how important it is for him to get going this year. And maybe this could be the year where he goes over 1,000 yards rushing.
Coach, do you agree with me that this needs to be a year where we see him doing 20 touches a game?
Yes.
I agree with you, Honor. I agree with you so much. This guy needs to be touching that ball 20 times. If he's healthy, right?
And they're saying he's healthy, right? I mean, they're saying he's healthy. They say he's super motivated. And oh, by the way, we beefed up our offensive line. So there should be holes for him to run through.
We did not beef up an offensive running line. We beefed up an offensive pass defense line.
No, Tunzel is good at run and block.
He is good, but the focus was pass defense.
I got that, but I'm telling you, a lot of these guys can do more than one. Wiley sometimes graded out.
Notice my cut matches my whole uniform and the flag and everything.
Yeah, I will tell you, Wiley's moving from right tackle to right guard, and sometimes Wiley grades out better on the run. I know when Cosme gets healthy, Cosme does very, very well against the run.
Yeah.
And so Jerry's still out about Brandon
Coleman. You think we're better?
Parts.
I think we're better on the run.
I think we'll do better on the run. This line can open things up. And if he does stay healthy, this could be a really good year for him. But I'm going to tell you, it's definitely a make or break year for him. He's got to show up this year.
Right. Shaq is saying he's seen the comments from the fans that they don't have confidence in him. And so he's got fire in his belly.
That's fire in the belly. All right, let's look at where our team status is right now. So we got about $21 million available cap space. Only Trey Amos, as I told you before, is the only guy who's not signed his contract. We are actually at 91 active players right now because we signed another defensive tackle about, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Tackle.
So we
Unbelievable.
got to cut down to 90 by the time training camp starts. So someone's going to get cut over the next couple of weeks. We'll figure it out. It's going to be some slug who didn't show up to OTAs in shape. It always happens.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll cut, or somebody will twist an ankle or something and blow their ankle out or do something crazy in OTAs, some fluke accident, and they'll be at 90 anyway. Right? So anyway, I told you already we're only going to have 5 draft picks next year, so we don't see daylight of getting younger even next year. This is kind of the way that Washington football is going to be this year and next year, so we're just going to have to accept it. We do have almost $15 million a day cap space going into next year, so we've got
Coach,
money.
I have a question. I'm just a fan. I have a question. That's why you're the coach.
Mm-hmm.
With that 15 mil dead cap, does that come off of our cap space?
Yeah, that's already off of it.
It's already off. So we still have $21 million to find an edge.
We do. But the thing is,
and we're gonna so with one rookie not signed, what do you think that deal will go for? $4 million?
It'll be like $2 million.
$2 million.
Yeah, it won't be a lot.
Higher. I think it'll be higher.
No, it won't. His contract overall will be higher.
Shouldn't be.
Overall contract will be higher, but his first year will be about 2. That will count against the cap.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
we got about $18-19 million to sign on the edge, right?
Yes. So Connerly was signed in the first round. He's only going to count, $2.2 million against the cap. So if you use that as a barometer, Trey should come in lower than that, even though he'll fight to get paid closer to that.
Sure.
But we're only talking a couple mil. There is room. The thing is we've missed so many opportunities. So we're almost banking now on somebody being disgruntled with a team and wanting out to try to work a deal, or someone to be mysteriously cut.
We only have 5 picks to trade. We don't have anything in trade.
We really don't.
Put cash on the table.
So now what you're looking for is somebody who's so disgruntled with their team that and a team's willing to let somebody go just because they think there'll be a locker room distraction, that they're willing to give them away for at least something. And we'll give him barely something just to get the deal done. But that's like wishful thinking that opportunity.
So Coach, is there any edge rusher out there like that?
You're going to have to Google it. The fans are going to have to Google it. I think a lot of those opportunities have been missed. I don't really think there's anything really out there. This time of year, like I said before, if all teams are at 90-person rosters and you still have not been signed, there's a reason why your butt has not been signed. Either you're unrealistic in your value, or you're dealing with an injury or off the field issue or an attitude problem or something that scares teams. Because otherwise you'd be signed by somebody by now.
I have a question, Coach. Just as a fan. I love me some Fowler. I loved what that kid did. I loved it, right? Anytime I've got a 10-sack edge rusher on my team, in my opinion, he's a keeper, right? Now, can I do better? Sure. But is he a base to work from? Sure. So we lost Fowler to Dallas in the division, which singes my grits.
Well, let's talk about
the space that we have right now.
But let me tell you what happened with Fowler, because you've been stuck on Fowler for a while, and I had to do some investigative reporting from somebody who's not an investigative reporter, right? But
tell me,
Fowler only came on a 1-year contract. He honorably served for 1 year. Right. His contract was up for renewal. He personally did not want to stay. He goes, "Thank you. I've enjoyed my year in Washington. I do not want to sign a new contract with you. I want to go home. I'm from the Dallas area. I want to go home to Dallas. I enjoyed the year I've been here, but I really miss Dallas. I'm going to go back and sign with my old team."
So this is purely personal.
This was purely his decision.
And no amount of money would have changed his mind.
Well, I don't know of no amount of money, because money talks, right? But it's not like we were going to overpay him to keep him.
What do you think it would have cost to keep him?
I don't know, but because he has a weird calculus. like he has a weird calculus to his thing because he wasn't an every down starter. He was a package player.
Right.
Now, he was a very successful package player because he
yes.
walked away with a lot of sacks out of it.
Yes.
Because every time he came in on a play, he was fresh and hungry.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
But it's very hard to assess value than that because you just can't assess value. Oh, he got 10 sacks because you can't expect that to repeat itself year after year.
Well, you know what? If you don't want to be in the family, you don't want to be in the family, right? And if they force you to be in the family, then you're not gonna put out 100% because you don't want to be there.
The guy personally wanted to go back to Dallas, so let him go. And he went.
So good move. Okay, fine. Oh, fine. I will not bring it up again. Fine. God, that's why you're the coach.
But you were saying something about defensive end. So what was your thought?
So Shaq is saying $10 million for a 32-year-old Fowler is insane. I agree.
Yeah, that's insane. There's no way I'd pay that.
But Dallas did.
Okay. Well, then good. He got to go home and got that kind of money.
I didn't know he was 32. Is he really 32?
He's been around for a long time.
That's an old boy. Yeah, well, you know what then? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to trust Dan Quinn in his defensive mind. He did a lot with Dallas. So if he thinks he can stunt his way into a solid run defense, then I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until the first 5 games prove him wrong.
Well, this is what I can say about it, right? Even with all those sacks that he did, this coaching staff did not make him a starter. So what does that say?
Mm-hmm.
That they only knew that they knew every game he was on a snap count. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So we're going into the stadium. Just to update people, we are getting closer and closer. We're about a month out before the chief financial officer has to have his budget plan into the city for this new stadium.
Yeah.
And we're a month and a half away from the DC City Council voting on this stadium. I know it's still about 2/3 in favor, 1/3 not in favor.
And that 1/3 can screw the pooch.
And that 1/3 could screw the pooch because it's probably more like 50-50 on the council right now.
Yeah. The news up here is not good, Coach. It's the news up here is like, we don't see this happening from the council. From the council members, all their mundoguri.
Yeah, so we're going
to haven't had their pockets greased enough. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're going to go through this relatively quickly. I know I wish Shaq was on to kind of comment, but I know he's watching. He can comment in the comment section. But, we're going to go through this relatively quickly because I got some new updates. So this is the deal that's going to impact D.C., its residents, and the taxpayers of D.C. The city with taxation without representation. That's what D.C. is, right?
That's the definition of D.C.?
That is. And it is what they say, an eye-popping. Got to love that thing. Eye-popping. $1.14 billion of public money is going to be needed in order to get this deal done that the city council has to agree to. That includes $202 million for infrastructure costs for roads and different types of infrastructure. That also includes another $89 million for the Sportsplex facility that they're going to do. And apparently that has been long planned for a neighborhood improvement project for a very, very long time, but it's going to be obviously included in this deal. And then they're talking about a sizable subsidized construction project of the stadium and associating parking garages to be able to handle the parking.
Right.
That equates to $856 million. So I went in there.
How you work the Lions into this?
That's a Lions. God, that's not Lions. I've got. Well, he's a Lions fan.
You just had to put a Lions reference in.
As a Redskins fan sometimes. But anyway, so I wanted to get into how would DC actually pay for $1.14 billion, right? Because I know Shaq talks about this. I know a lot of people scratch their head DC is strapped for cash. Where are they going to come up with $1.14 billion? So, how will they do it? So their plan right now is to borrow money in bonds that equate to about $500 million, which is about close to half of what they need. And they believe that through that, they'll also get they're going to space it out. In other words, but it's going to be on a 30-year principal bonds that are at a 4.75% interest rate annually, which will actually cost DC more money than what they were originally planning. So instead of it costing $500 million, what they originally planned, this could almost double the cost on a variable rate.
Focus money. It's financial bankruptcy magic.
Yes. And then they're going to try to compensate the other $500 million by either more loans that they can get from either through government subsidies or something like that, raising taxes or cutting city spending, which are all things that are very, very bad for a city that's already selling.
Yeah, dear Lord.
Now, they're currently $1 billion under budget, but they believe they can get $1 billion of funding from the federal government, but they're not going to be able to make up $1.5 billion from all accounts from what the city council believes. So they are going to struggle to try to come up with the money to get this deal done.
Yep. I think it's a huge lift to get it done, actually.
It is a huge lift. So one of the things they talked about, well, what about revenues? Can they generate revenues by having a stadium here? Not so fast, because the way that the deal is currently written is not in favor of DC. It's in favor of the Washington Commanders. Because the Washington Commanders off of this deal will retain nearly all the revenue, including the naming rights, advertisement, tickets, concessions, all that stuff. Not only will they keep that revenue, but they're going to get so many tax breaks, which works against the city.
Yeah.
They're not going to pay property taxes. They're not going to have to pay sales tax for parking. No taxes on personal seat licenses. All sales tax will not go to the city. It will go to a private reinvestment fund to keep the stadium upgraded and to do maintenance and repair costs. So the city's not going to get any of that.
So some of that I agree with. The other stuff I don't. How in the hell can they not raise revenue from taxes for parking and property tax? Why are they giving her a free ride on property tax? No, they need to pay their taxes. I kind of get the other part of that, sort of like that's kind of a cool deal, but hell no, I wouldn't vote for that.
So there are several people on the city council that want to object to this because they say that this is an extraordinarily bad deal for the city, because the city's going to have a hard time raising revenue. Now, the counter argument that the team says to the city council is, all you're thinking about is the stadium. You're not thinking about the hotels and the restaurants and all the shops and bars and everything else around that's going to be generating revenue from the fans.
It's an unknown.
And tax.
It's an unknown.
Right. It is an unknown, but they're like, it's going to revitalize the business area around it where you are going to be able to collect taxes.
It will.
But there's no estimate, and nobody really knows how much that's going to be.
Exactly. It's all conjecture, right? It's like, and it will bring money in, and it will generate rev, but you don't have any idea exactly how it's going to be. I mean, this is a big ask. It's huge.
It's a huge ask. So
it's a huge ask.
This is where I caution fans. This is not a done deal.
No. Yeah, the news up here is, oh, hell no. There's enough council members against it that it's like, this could fail that quick.
Yeah, it could. You know, I know Shaq is like probably really against this. I want to be optimistic because like there's a part of me as a young child of being in RFK Stadium, watching them play. I really would love to see a stadium back in DC.
Me too. I love the idea.
Yeah.
But this type of financing where we're greasing the pockets of the owner, sorry, I'm not for that. My personal opinion is I'm not for it. Oh hell no, that's just way too much to ask.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah,
It's my opinion.
it is.
Too much.
Now, what I will try to do in the future is I'm going
to try to deal not to pay property tax on your stadium.
So I think part of it is this stadium is going to cost close to $4 billion, and we're looking for the city to pay about a billion of it, right? So $3 billion is going to come from this owner, and this owner, for those of you who don't recall, he doesn't have that money. Right. He had to borrow money, and he had to put together an investment group in order to purchase this team.
Yep.
He does not have the money to really build a stadium. So he's having to go back to his investors groups and also come up with bonds and also come up with loans and do all this stuff to build this stadium. And so he's assuming a lot of risks too. And he needs to also pay bills to pay back all of his loans, everything he has. So he's saying, hey, I need this in order to make ends meet. I can't afford to pay property tax. I can't afford to make all this stuff done and pay all the expenses that I have to pay to keep the lights on in the stadium. So
then maybe they push us off a couple of years, and he focuses on putting together a winning team that drives revenue, right? And 2 more years down the road, when the Commanders have had 2 more playoff berths, and there's revenue coming in, then maybe this deal looks a lot better, right? But right now, this looks like a stretch.
The problem is the lease on FedEx Field is coming due. And we are at that point where we're going to be extending our lease like year to year to stretch out to 2030, because the idea is, in order not to be price gouged with a heavy lease that's going to cost more than what we're currently paying, is we need to get out from underneath FedEx Field. And so also when you talk about it, it's not going to get built overnight. This is a 5-year build.
Right, exactly.
So they want to start breaking ground in 2026, so this stadium's ready by 2030. But our current lease is up in 2027, so we're going to get price gouged for 3 years to stay in FedEx Field while this thing's being built. And believe me, we are going to get charged a premium price because they know we're leaving.
Yep.
So, and that's not conducive to building a stadium.
Oh, and coach, what happens if we have the sophomore blues and the junior blues?
I don't think it has an impact financially on the team.
You don't think so? If we don't have a winning season, we don't get the playoffs, you don't think that has an impact on sentiment in the city? Oh, yeah, I think it does hugely.
No, it doesn't at all. So unless you're talking about home games, like if you got to win home field advantage, like let's say we make it to the playoffs and it's a road game, you're not really profiting much off of that. So, and so if you're losing early, people will stop going to the stadium as much.
That's what I'm talking about. We keep playing ball to make this happen.
Yeah, but it's not going to break the bank. Let's say we go 8-9 this year and we barely miss the playoffs. It's not going to destroy this deal alone, right? It takes a lot more than that. And even a winning season, let's say we make it back to the NFC Championship game, it's not financially going to make a significant enough difference to either make this deal happen or make it fall apart. It's not going to be enough. So, I mean, this is about long-term commitment and a long-term vision for this team for many, I would say for decades to come.
Yeah, but you know what? Every year, the auditors come around and ask, how many butts did you put in seats? Right?
It doesn't matter when you're on a 5-year build project. Let's say you break ground, you're not going to stop.
Well, yeah, once you finance it and you sign the paperwork, yeah, you're in, right? Doesn't matter what happens, you're in. The price is the price.
I mean, then it's up to the owner to make ends meet and pay his bills, right?
I'm just saying the hype around this team right now was high, right? Because of what happened.
But
if you also fall off here, that hype is going to go down, and sentiment is going to be like, well, I don't know, that's a lot of money now. We don't even have a winning team.
But you got to understand, a majority of money that teams make is not money that they generate. So I want to make sure the fans understand that. A majority of money that teams make is not money they generate, because under the ownership and protecting the shield of the National Football League, they do profit sharing. in the National Football League.
Right. Yeah.
And it's done that way, like all television rights and even concessions and ticket prices and everything else like that. Their income statement balance sheets are maintained at the league offices, and they do profit sharing around the league to make sure every team is financially viable and successful.
So there's kind of a level competition from a finance standpoint.
It's a level thing to make sure every team financially does well to protect.
Have to put butts
because you don't want a single team in the National Football League to ever go bankrupt.
Right. Of course, that would be ridiculous, right?
Right.
And I agree with Shaq. The size of the stadium, in my mind, is stupid. 65,000 seats for a new stadium is way too small. I think it's just a dumb. If they were asking me to vote and I was on the board, I'd say, hell no. I don't even come to me with a proposal that doesn't have 75,000 seats in a dome. Nope, not doing it. That's just me.
So their design is meant to still get 75 to 80,000 people in the stadium. They have a lot of areas that are stand-up party rooms and different things like that. And the idea is to make it not as high by having a lot of those party rooms and different things like that, not as high. So more seats are actually closer. You don't really have as bad of nosebleed sections, right? I
want 75,000 butts in seats in the actual stadium, not in the
stadium. You will have 75,000
not in the cigar room, not in the bars. 75,000 actual seats in the stadium to do a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it won't be that. It'll be 75,000 in the stadium, but it'll be 65,000 seats. Actually, a lot of the standing rooms and stuff like that, and suites and stuff like that, are becoming more and more popular, and they're actually selling out really high. So people want to party, they want to get together, they want to hang out, they like the little buffets.
I get it, but no.
They like unlimited freaking nachos. They like all that kind of crap, right?
Yes, they do.
I want unlimited nachos.
I know, I love them. Look at me. Look at me. I love nachos.
Love nachos, man. So, if you hey, I'll give you a standing room only. You'll be able to party with a lot of people. I'll give you a free beer, and I'll give you unlimited nachos. Man, people will show up. I know Shaq would be in that crowd freaking tearing it up, man. Saying F the Giants, F the Cowboys, F the Eagles the whole way, right? Because that's just what he did.
Jack, let me tell you something. If anyone here on this show thinks that the price of tickets in this deal isn't going to go up to ridiculous, it's already ridiculous. And if it's not to go to what do we pay, Coach, for a beer at the Giants game? $18?
Yeah, it's like
for $18. A standard domestic beer? If you don't think the price is going up, the price is going way. I'm going to be. Listen, there's a reason not to go inside and stay in the parking lot and do the party, because no one wants to pay $25 for dadgum ultra light, which you can get for $4 at 7-Eleven. Oh, hell no.
You just drink what you need to drink before you go to the stadium.
Yeah, exactly. And so concession sales go down. But that's how they're trying to drive the costs. So it is just crazy. And this season, because we had such a great year, the ticket prices are already elevated. Good point there, Shaq. Absolutely. So you know how it was. When Coach and I went to see the Lions play the Redskins in 2013, we flew up, took my dad up. We went to the parking lot because the lines were nothing. And I think we paid, what did we pay, Coach? $50 a ticket for the 50-yard line midsection. It was ridiculous. All of a sudden, advance that 9 years, and now the Lions are a winning team. You can't freaking buy a ticket to get in there. And the same thing is going to happen here. But we're already in the elevated market already. It's not like the Detroit market, right, which earned it. This market is already expensive.
But let's talk about that real quick, because a lot of teams, we do have profit sharing that happens throughout the league, right? But expenses are going to go up around the league for all teams to begin with, because there's a lot of things like there's a huge push that everybody should have a modern state-of-the-art stadium, right? So not every team's moving in that direction, right? there's like over the next 5 years, like just about every stadium that hasn't been built within the past 20 years is going to get replaced. So the other big thing is more and more salaries are becoming more and more guaranteed. So like when you have that, you've got to make the bottom end meet, right? So like collective bargaining agreement, I would probably say when this thing comes due again, this is going to be a huge contentious point. I'm afraid of another lockout and another holdout again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, these owners, if you have to purchase like these ungodly amount for a team and you're in the hole there, and then you got to have a state-of-the-art freaking stadium, you got to go in the hole there, and then you got to guarantee everybody's freaking salaries, you got to go in the hole there. Sooner or later, these owners are going to be like, I got to like pay the bills.
And but shouldn't that have already happened, Coach? Aren't we already there?
We go through this every time where there's new tricks of the trade that happen every year where people try to get ahead. And that's what causes every collective bargaining agreement period to come around and it to be contentious because of all the pricing being out of control. I remember in the last collective bargaining agreement, that's when we implemented the rookie scale for draft picks because rookies were coming into the league and they were negotiating contracts with their agents that were higher than any veteran who played in the league and they never took an NFL snap. And they finally pushed back and they said, nope, we are not having it anymore. We need to have a rookie scale because we want to pay our veterans who are the playmakers in it. We don't want to give all of our money away to some rookie who's untried.
When you have to spend $200 to $300 to get a decent seat at a football game for your home team versus going to a baseball game, which a decent seat would be $30 to $40 and the concession prices are less, or at a hockey game, for gosh sake, which is even less.
But let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Yeah. There's like 184 baseball games in a season. There is like, I don't know, there's like, I don't even know how many.
Care the amount of games. It's pricing out the average dad with a kid.
There's only 17 games in an NFL season.
I know. I get it. I know.
There's not that many games. So like, you know, and football is the number one sport in the nation. Has been for a long time. It's not baseball. Baseball hasn't been number one in this nation for a long time. So, at least in the past 20 years.
Shaq is saying good seats for the Giants are $500 to $600. Wow. I can't believe they're getting that with the crap they've had the last few years.
They're getting that now because there's a lot of hype.
Well, yeah, hype is going up, but oh my God, I can't. I mean, I was in shock in 2013 with what we paid to get Lion seats, where we got them.
We're going to be watching a lot of games on your couch there, Lord Sarge.
Well, I'm just saying, on the home side, what we paid, and then watching how they progressed 10 years later, and then you couldn't get a seat, you know, for less than $1,000. Winning helps, right? Winning helps.
But you do have to share the profit. So like it's relative. To me, it's a lot more relative than what people think. There's like, oh, we have to have a great season so we make all this money. No, the league is a profit sharing league. Mm-hmm. So like you might think like, I have to
put over the whole
make all this money in order for my team to make it. No, it's not like that. It's how well the league does as a whole.
Yeah,
it's really more of a socialistic type system.
Which is okay. I mean, I agree with that. That's cool, right? That's cool to me.
Yeah. So as long as the league overall is doing better, then the owners are doing better. And then the players have more to negotiate and they're doing better and things are being met.
But I guarantee you, if I see the Commanders play the Browns in Cleveland, and I get the exact same seat for the Browns to come to the Commanders, I'm going to pay double the price in DC than I would have in Cleveland to see the same game for the exact same seat in the same section on the home team.
On the flip side is you could go live in Cleveland, right? But like, who wants to do that?
But that's the way. So I mean, I get price leveling, Coach, but it actually in our pockets and the money that we have to spend to go see the teams we love, man.
Yeah. So anyway, fans, hey, I will tell you, Kara, I hope you get well out there. I hope you heal up. We miss you, Shaq. We sure hope you're also doing all right. We want to see you guys on here next week. So I will
Shout
tell
out
you,
to Clara. Hope she's feeling better.
Jack, it's nice seeing you on here. I know you're struggling a little bit with work schedules and stuff like that. I would love to bring you on as a guest on this show, Jack, here in the near future if we can get our schedules to work. I know we talked about this on text. Matt, it's great seeing you on here. All the other fans that were on here, great having you. Great having you, Jeff. Appreciate all you guys supporting the channel. Any parting words there, Large Sarge?
Shaq says we still don't care about the Lions. Listen, I'm not trying to throw the Lions into this show. This is about the Commanders. I'm just saying comparison-wise. I'm seeing some of the same things that happen that are happening with the Commanders that could have what happened to the Lions. It's a great example to use. That's all. So
yeah. I actually think right now we're following more of a Houston Texans blueprint.
I would agree with that.
But which I don't want to be doing, but we kind of like almost look like their playbook.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey guys, this has been real. This is Football Psych. Sure appreciate everybody's involvement tonight. Great show. We appreciate you. And this is Football Psych, baby. And we are out of here. Woo-hoo!